Hey guys, Sean here and welcome to the F1 Word. Now, over the Russian Grand Prix weekend, McLaren announced that they would once again be partnered by Mercedes from 2021 onwards. I gave my thoughts on the announcement during the qualify watch-along, the race watch-along and the race reaction for Russia, but a number of you have got in touch and said that you don't watch the live streams, which is absolutely fine by the way, and that you'd just like to know my thoughts on McLaren and Mercedes teaming up once again. So I've decided to do a quick video. This is me. This will probably go for about an hour and a half, but anyway, I'll try my best. A quick video just literally going over my thoughts on it and what it could mean for the future. So for starters, for me personally, I am absolutely delighted with this news. McLaren-Mercedes were my childhood. McLaren-Mercedes versus Ferrari, that's what I grew up with. And I know it's only an engine supply, or as is the case now, a power unit supply. It's still an iconic name. And I think it really does bode well for McLaren's long-term future. It's been a really difficult few years for them and we've seen them struggle with Honda, and although Renault have been definitely a step up, things maybe haven't gone the way that McLaren were expecting them to go. But as excited as I was about the announcement in Russia, we do have to err a little bit on the side of caution because this isn't the same as the deal they had back in the day. This is a customer supply of power units. When they were winning world championships with Mercedes, that was a full-on works deal, total backing from the manufacturer behind them. Although I have no doubt whatsoever that Mercedes will support McLaren, they've got their own team to run as well. And Toto Wolff, by the way, has made it perfectly clear that team are going nowhere. Mercedes are not leaving the sport. This isn't them giving that supply to McLaren, backing them and then walking away as some are claiming. That being said though, I do think this is something that can propel McLaren further up the grid. Are we talking championships? Possibly not. It'd be great to see, but I'm not entirely convinced that Mercedes would have given McLaren a power unit if they genuinely thought they could compete for the titles and beat them to those titles. It's alright the likes of Toto Wolff saying we want competition, we love competition, we want to be raced, but they're also winners and their priority is to win world championships. They're not going to try and help somebody else to beat them to it. But it could certainly give them the opportunity, McLaren that is, to be challenging for podiums again and the odd cheeky win. I'm really excited about this and I'm so happy for them. It also brings an end to this really weird era that they've had with Honda and Renault where everything's kind of not really worked out. And you know, it almost feels like they're reverting back to the last time everything worked for them. Almost like a factory reset. Let's not forget, of course, the last time they stood on the podium was the Australian Grand Prix in 2014 with Kevin Magnussen, although Jenson Button was promoted to third after Daniel Ricciardo was disqualified, and that was with Mercedes power. All of this, though, has come with some intriguing elements. Obviously, the first question that Sky decided to throw at McLaren was, is this going to prick up Fernando Alonso's ears for 2021? My answer to that is probably, because let's face it, the one thing that he's always said is that he doesn't want to be in Formula 1 unless he's in a competitive team. And if McLaren can build a good car and they've got the power unit to power them, then he might well be interested, but that's a little way away yet. So, although I get why people have instantly gone to the maybe this will interest Alonso camp, we just need to hang on and see because we don't know what he's going to be doing yet next season. He might sign a long-term deal with another team to race in another series. Hell, he might even be in that Williams. Who knows in Formula 1? Not a chance. But anyway. There is another story that started doing the rounds since this news came out, and that is focused on Lando Norris and how apparently he is now going to be managed by Mercedes and they are eyeing him up for a seat with the Silver Arrows in 2021. Now, it may well be that this is completely true. It may well be that Lando Norris will be sat in that Mercedes in 2021. But these stories all start with one line that for me instantly makes me sceptical, and that line is according to reports in Italy. I'm not going off on one about the Italian media or anything like that, but they're not always the most reliable with their stories. So take this with a big pinch of salt. I would also say as well, just because he's managed by Mercedes doesn't mean that they're looking to get him in that car. He's obviously a very good young talent and has a ton of potential. And I can imagine there are a number of teams looking at him for the future and that McLaren are desperate to keep hold of him. I mean, it is definitely a story that's worth keeping an eye on. Don't forget, of course, that both Valtteri Bottas and Lewis Hamilton are out of contract at the end of next season. So next summer's silly season is going to be absolutely mental, and drivers like Lando Norris and George Russell, for example, are going to be linked with just about every team on the grid. Obviously, F1 is a very fast-moving sport, both on and off the track. Wow, that was a cheesy cliche, but anyway. But as of right now, my gut would tell me that Lewis Hamilton will stay for 2021, possibly partnered by George Russell. But if Hamilton were to leave, I think it is far more likely Mercedes would chase Max Verstappen and partner him with Russell rather than Lando Norris. Although Lando Norris and Max Verstappen as teammates is a very tasty prospect. Again, it's that line I use so often. You never know in Formula 1 though, and stranger things have happened. But back to McLaren, because this is only supposed to be a very quick video. But let's say that Lando Norris does go to Mercedes in 2021, which again, I doubt, but let's just use some imagination. I think that would pretty much guarantee that Carlos Sainz would stay. Next season, if he performs anywhere near as well as he has this year, he could be at that team for a long time. Which then begs the question, who will be his teammate? Would McLaren go with an all-Spanish lineup of Sainz and Alonso? Ultimately, I guess the aim for every team is to have the two best available drivers. But all Spanish at McLaren, I know that some of you will say that nationality doesn't really matter, but I'm sure it must come into consideration somewhere. For example, an all-British lineup's worked at McLaren in the past, and an all-German lineup worked at Mercedes. I'm talking from a commercial point of view. But would two Spaniards work at a British team? That's the point I'm making. I don't think it really matters all that much, but I do think it would be taken into consideration. Let me know your thoughts on that one. But that would be the decision they'd have to make if Lando Norris left. Because I can't see any reason why they'd want to get rid of Carlos Sainz, unless, of course, somebody else picks him up. What if Red Bull go and grab him? That'd be quite the U-turn, wouldn't it? I know, I'm getting carried away. We could talk about this next summer when it's going to absolutely dominate the transfer window, if you like. But this deal with Mercedes does throw up some genuine intrigue as to who could be racing for McLaren in the future. And hey, maybe this is a completely pointless conversation and it will be Carlos Sainz and Lando Norris again for 2021 and beyond. I would not blame McLaren at all if they signed both of those drivers up on long-term deals. I would. And you know, actually, it's genuinely just come to me. If Norris leaves, maybe it'll be a swap deal for Bottas and Sainz at McLaren. That wouldn't be a bad lineup at all. Although, with all due respect for Valtteri looking long-term, I think if I was in McLaren's position, I'd rather keep Norris. But, you know, we'll see. Again, this is total speculation. We've not even got the 2020 grid set yet, let alone 2021. And so I'm going to leave it there before I just sit here speculating all day and drive you all mad. I'm just going to finish off by saying, genuinely, I am so happy about this news of McLaren and Mercedes getting back together. It is great for McLaren's future. And for me personally, probably, yeah, from a nostalgic point of view, I'm seriously excited about seeing what they can do together going forward. That is it though for this quick video that probably went on for far too long, but let me know your thoughts on the McLaren-Mercedes deal down in the comment section. Do you think this is a good deal? And other than Alonso and Bottas, have you got any other suggestions as to who could be driving one of those McLarens in 2021? Now, I will be back soon with more content as ever, but in the meantime, don't forget that you can follow me over on social media and all of the links you need for that are in the description down below. But as ever, thank you for watching. I've been Sean, this has been the F1 Word, and until next time, goodbye.